Good morning, good morning. It's great to stay up late. Good morning to you.
Hey vlog, day 58 is here with us. I just woke up. It rained the whole day. Not the whole day, the whole night. The whole night rained. It's all wet, it's all floody. I feel like we're experiencing short rains, or is this long rains, or is this climate change? Are this the effects of global warming? Because since time immemorial, I do not remember like years past years raining like this. Yeah, I really do not recall past years it raining like this, especially in February. Anyway, so as I just said, I just woke up. It's currently, I haven't on my smartwatch yet, but it's currently 9:55 in the AM. I hope you all had a good night's sleep. For me, I slept like a baby, especially because it rained the whole night. And I thank God for the rain, because the plants are flourishing. Yeah, the plants are green, the plants are clean, they're not dirty because of the dust. We get to take a rest from the dust. So yeah, just that. I wish you a beautiful day ahead, a happy day, a productive day. Now that today is Friday, Furahi Day, I wish you a very beautiful Friday as the week is ending. May you end it well on a high note. I thank God I've been able to clock in, and I'm also ready to put my best foot forward and stay locked in, focused. So today I'm going to be working on my systems. Do 1 2 3 and then see how the day unfolds. Today is not that cold, especially in the morning, so I feel like there's a pattern to these days, because you'll find in the morning it's quite warm, it gets hot a bit in the afternoon, and then in the evening it switches on us. Like then you can light a switch on and off. That's how it usually is. So hot in the morning, warm hot, then very cold in the evening, and then it rains the whole night. That's the pattern. So I also think I'll go to the cyber. Hopefully I won't be burdening that woman, but you know what? Maybe as the point I get my money, I'll pay her, But at the moment, we just use what is there, because she gave me the permission to use her Wi-Fi. So I'll just go there, browse the internet for jobs for about 2 hours, then come back home. And see kama nitasaidika. But I pray that God comes through for me, and also comes through for you in the way that you want him to come through for you. I hope that God meets you at your point of need, and I also hope that you keep your hope high and not despair. Keep positive. Despairing is not an option. Well, you might feel the feelings of despairing and desperation and depression, but do not go deep into those feelings. Be aware of it, feel it, but do not let it run you. You feel me? Do not let it run you. So because I know a lot of people, there are a lot of jobless people, there are a lot of people who wish to do YouTube, but the odds are against them, all odds are against them. But I feel like keep pushing. There's a post I saw of this guy who was saying that he's 33 years old, and he said that he can't believe that he's 33 years old and he's only selling shoes, And I'm like, yeah, he's feeling some feelings of desperation, but at least he has somewhere he can hold on to, he can cling on to until something else comes up. And I hope he's actively searching, because maybe the business may not be doing well, maybe people may not be buying his shoes, but then again, let's not despair. It's sad that we find ourselves in such situations, and these are situations that we will live to remember. And I wish I wasn't going through this. I wish someone else was not going through the hard moments they're going through. But then again, what do we do other than keeping the hope high, being positive, and also actively searching and seeking, and also working on the systems that you might be wanting to work on, or might be thinking about. So let's not despair. Let's keep the hope high. And first and foremost, and also the most important thing, is to pray, to ask God for the guidance, to ask God to bless you with whatever you want, as long as it's good and upright, and to ask God to meet you at your point of need, because God surely meets you at your point of need. It's at this difficult moment that you realize God is really there, and there's really a God in heaven who has good things in store for us, And also keeping in mind that comparison is a thief of joy, Yes, keep grounded, keep your hope high. That's all I'll say. That's all I have to say, because that I'm leaning into whatever I'm speaking on here, yeah. So I wish to wish you a beautiful day ahead, a beautiful Friday, a beautiful weekend, a beautiful day 55 of your 365 of your 2026. 2 more days to day 60, and I hope your days till now have been well, have been kind to you, and you've been able to clock in and stay locked in, focused. So also please do not forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Today let's comment the Egypt flag. I don't know how the Egypt flag looks like, but I'll put it on here. So let's comment down below the Egypt flag and see how today unfolds. I'll at least vlog today because I have space, so that's a plus. That's a thumbs up. So also give this video a thumbs up. You guys are watching and you're not subscribing, and you're not liking and you're not commenting, all those who have subscribed, thank you so much for subscribing. I hope these videos, my archiving videos, keep you grounded and like keep you aware of which day we are in the year, between this day and the last day of the year, and therefore helping you see how much you've done and how much you can do and how much is there to be done, how much potential is there to be unlocked. So allow me to love you and leave you until the evening when I'll be clocking out. But till then, please be happy, smile, drink your water, eat your fruits, eat your balanced diet. What else? Tell your child you love them, and keep it locked in focus and intentionally put in the work. I'll see you in the evening. Till then, keep it locked. Hey vlog, so day 58 is over. Just trying to be cozy over here before I clock out and before we read the book. So it's currently 19:41, 7:41 in the PM. I hope you've had a good day. For me, I've had a good day, quite slow. However, I managed to upload day 57 of my 365 days of my 2026. Even it being quite slow, at least I uploaded a vlog, and I hope you'll watch till the end. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please do consider subscribing. I'll highly appreciate, and that means like you subscribe if you love the content. If you watch my content, please do consider subscribing. So as I was saying, I hope you had a good day. It's currently raining. Cats, dogs, its offspring, its descendants, and everything in between. But during the day has been warm. The sun came out. We basked, had my vitamin D dose. However, I didn't manage to bask the limes, probably because I lazied around, to be quite honest. But all in all, I'll say it has been successful because I managed to upload a vlog. And so I also hope you had a good day. You clocked in and locked in intentionally. Also, it has been successful because I got to vlog during the day. Not as much, but some bits and bobs of what I've been up to during the day. I managed to winnow the bins. You'll see, or you've already seen it on the vlog. And that's just about it. So we'll continue with our read, Unstoppable. Quite a very good read, a good book, and quite motivating. So I'll start by setting the timer, our 30 minutes timer, and then we can get into reading. If you actually love this series, please comment down below. Today we were commenting the Egypt flag, Did you know the Egypt flag looks like that? Because to be quite honest, I did not know. So far we've commented Egypt, Mozambique, South Africa, Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, yeah, and we'll continue like that until the 365 days are over. Yeah, so here I'll start, and I'll start reading from where I left. The phone is charging, and I don't want it to go off as it's counting down. So I'll continue reading from where I left. So the last sentence was, it was clear to anyone who had spent time around the junior team that before too long I would turn pro. After that, money would start coming in. Sekeu had to attach himself to me now. While I was still at this early stage, if he wanted to be a part of the team later, if he wanted to hook on to a percentage of the reward. For a person in his position, this would mean getting between the player and the parent. Sekeu said that if I wanted to stay at El Cuestador, my father would have to find another place to work. Seeing as my father will no longer be working at the school, Sekeu said we'd have to start paying just like everyone else. I'd be picked up and driven to El Cuestador each morning, taken to events and tournaments, then dropped back at the apartment each night. Yuri would be billed once a month, the amount determined by just how much Sekeu and his staff worked with me, which was even worse. Not knowing how much we'd have to pay made it impossible for us to plan or prepare. Even worse, Sekeu was also still holding Yuri's visa and passport. He just kept finding reasons not to give them back. As long as he hung onto them, we were trapped. I don't know what was in his mind, of course, but it seemed as if Sekeu was trying to make us feel insecure and off balance, as if we were ripening Yuri like an apple on a tree, preparing him for the harvest. In other words, Yuri had to find work again immediately. He went here and there before finally bringing the problem to our landlady, the Russian woman who rented us her living room and part of her kitchen. She had an obvious interest in my father's financial security. Come the first of every month, we owed her $250. Meanwhile, she was dating a man who was a kind of contractor, a big man who owned a landscaping company. He rode around in a clunking white pickup truck, dropping off and picking up his crew of workers, guys who weeded and planted and cut grass and fertilized flower beds in parks and at country clubs. The sort of work my father had done before. The man offered my father a place on his crew. My father jumped at the job. He needed just, even for me, if I get a job, I just jump on it. I actually also applied for a job, a voter's job, because there are elections coming up in Kenya. Elections are coming up in 2027, and so someone forwarded me a link onto where I also managed to apply for a job as a voters registration clerk or something. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that pans out. So my father jumped at the job. He needed money to keep me in shoes and tennis rackets and to keep both of us housed and fed. The work started at once. It must have been so hard for my father. He'd wake each morning at 4 a.m. and get dressed in the dark, make my breakfast, and leave it on the table with a note, just a few words, a bit of instruction. On those days when he had to leave for work, especially early, he'd wake up, cook me rice, and put the pot under his pillow to keep it warm. That's what I would eat when I woke up. Like Yuri, the other guys on the crew were immigrants who spoke little English. Only they were not Russian, but Mexican and Honduran and Guatemalan, and the language they spoke was Spanish. They were also much younger than Yuri, 10 years or so, in better shape, with better joints and better knees. But they were friendly and warm and took my father, and he actually came to look forward to riding with them through the cool Florida dawn. He laughed at their stories in broken English and told stories of his own. He learned to swear in Spanish and came to love his little group. Among them, he was the mysterious Russian. Most days they worked on the golf course at a big country club, a fancy place. The crew would split up when they arrived, head off in different directions. Yuri would walk the fair lanes and the fairways and the greens, planting sod, replacing divots, weeding, whatever. I am not an expert in any of this. Early in the morning, before the sun came, it all had to be done before the first golfers teed off at around 6 a.m. Then he continued to work throughout the day, sometimes with other members of the crew, sometimes alone. He was back home by 5 each night, in time to make me dinner. Wow, that's so good. It was a weird period in our lives that went on for months and months. He was gone each morning when I woke up, then home to feed me each night, then in that fold-out couch where he spent hours reading books about tennis and taking notes. It always had trouble with his back. It started in Russia, when he was working on those smokestacks. He would forget about it for weeks or even years, then out of the blue, the pain would return. Working on that landscaping crew was probably not the best sort of job for a man in his condition. One day, and it was very early in the morning, when he was working on a green at the country club, his back went out. It's easy for me to write that, of course. His back went out, but I can't really understand how it felt. He said it was excruciating, the most pain he's ever experienced in his life, pulse of lightning burning through his spine. It knocked him to the ground, literally. All he could do was lie there flat on his back, muttering and grimacing, alone in the dark, getting wet from the dew and the sprinklers, which never let the grass dry. He does not know exactly how long he lay there. He was in a delirium, fading in and out. The sky turned pale. Then he saw the trees. Then he saw the leaves on the trees. Then the sky turned blue and it got very hot. Finally, a man spotted him. This lone figure stretched out on the green, groaning and racing over the golf cart, over in a golf cart. He tried to talk to Yuri and get him up, but Yuri just muttered in Russian and could not be moved. At first, the guy assumed my father was drunk. Look what turned up on the 15th green, a drunk Russian, probably one of the oligarchs. He finally realized that Yuri was not drunk. He was in pain and asking for help. The guy went and got some of the other workers from the landscaping crew. He stood around Yuri, trying to help. They stood around Yuri, trying to help. They finally lifted him off the ground, put him in a cart, and brought him to the clubhouse, where he was laid out in back mourning. One of Yuri's co-workers called the boss. He told him that Yuri was in bad shape and needed to get to hospital. He wanted to call an ambulance. The boss said no, ambulances are expensive. Bosses. He said he'd be there soon and would take Yuri to the hospital himself. In fact, he did not show up till the end of the day. Yuri lay groaning in the back room for hours and hours. He was in and out of the hospital in a few hours. They let him go with a bottle of painkillers, instructions for rehab exercises, and an order to stay off his feet as much as possible. I did not learn about any of this until later, when Yuri called from the hospital. It must have been 7 p.m. The whole time, one of the workers told me he'd been saying, Masha, I've got to get home to make dinner for Masha. Yuri spent 2 weeks in bed. He was in the worst shape. We hid all this from my mother. When she called, we pretended everything was good, fine, perfect. Meanwhile, I was doing my best to take care of him. I did the grocery shopping, made the meals, fed him. I made breakfast before I left for El Cuestador in the morning. Then came straight back to the apartment following my afternoon march. It seemed to me that what he really needed was a swimming pool. That would be the best place for him to exercise, stretch his back, and recover. I went up and down the street, knocking on doors, asking whoever answered if they had a swimming pool and could we use it. It sounds like a crazy strategy, but I finally found out they're actually nice people out here. Imagine, they're nice people out here. But the percentage of nice people and not nice people is... I was saying, the percentage of nice people and not nice people is minuscule. The percentage of not nice people is higher. It's hard to come across nice people. It's crazy. So, maybe because people are just busy dealing with their problems. But I mean, even nice people have their problems, you know. It's humane to be nice. So, I finally found a nice old lady who agreed to let us use her pool several times a week. That's when Yuri finally began to recover. After 3 weeks rehabbing in that pool, he was good enough to stand and walk and shop and so on, but I didn't think he'd ever be able to do manual labor again. In the meantime, we stopped making money. You'd think the boss of the crew, who was after all dating our landlady, would have at least paid Yuri for the time off or covered some of the medical bills. After all, he'd been injured while working for this man. Nope, nada, nothing. In fact, my father thinks he actually prorated the day Yuri got hurt. Had paid him for just the 2 hours when he'd been pulling weights, not the 6 hours he'd been stretching out groaning. Very soon we had to stop paying bills. That's when the landlady began looking at us in a new and friendly way. We stopped being tenants and started being a problem. One afternoon, she walked a strange man through our rooms, showing him around but saying nothing. A few days later, she reminded Yuri about the rent. If you can't pay me, you and Maria will have to leave, she said. I have another tenant ready to move in. How can you kick an 8-year-old out on the street? Asked Yuri. That's your fault, not mine, said the landlord. Of course, this was the moment that Sekeu picked to deliver his bill, which he must have known we'd never be able to pay. He made it his business to know our situation. In this way, he'd crank up the pressure and increase our sense of insecurity. In other words, it was harvest time. Yuri got himself together and went in to see Sekeu, who was holding our bill in his hand. He said, Sekeu, you know I can't pay this bill right now. Maybe if you give me some. No, said Sekeu, there is no time. Either you pay what you owe El Cuestador or Maria has to leave. Then, as Yuri stood there, burning with anger, Sekeu said, Unless what? There may be another type of deal we can reach. Sekeu opened a drawer in his desk and handed Yuri a contract. If you sign this, he said, Maria can stay and I will see her development personally. What is it? A very standard agreement. Can I take it home and read it over? Yes, why not? But quickly. It doesn't really matter to me what you decide. I am being very generous. Probably too generous. I have developed a fondness for Maria, but the deal will not be on the table for very long. My father looked through the contract as he walked back to the apartment. He read the clauses and phrases, but it was hard to follow. He was not good at reading English, and even if he were, the pages were written in a kind of circuitous legalese you'd have to be a lawyer to untangle. But at home, he handed the contract to the landlady. Can you make sense of this? He asked. We were not on the best terms at the moment. She'd been threatening to kick us out after all, but she was one of the few people we could think to turn to. What's more, if it said something about a scholarship in there or work for my father. Maybe she'd lay off about the rent. She read it at the kitchen table, carefully studying each line. You can see her lips moving as she sounded out unfamiliar phrases. In lieu of future earnings, dependent of post-expense growth. She put away her reading glasses when she finished, handing the pages back to Yuri. She said, "You can't sign this." "Why? What does it say?" Well, for one, it seems to say in return for a scholarship at El Conquistador, Maria will be required, for as long as she plays tennis, to give some percentage, a large percentage, of all her earnings to Sekeo. If you sign this contract, that man will own your daughter. "You've got to be wrong," said Yuri, shocked. "I've had my arguments with Sekeo, and he wouldn't do that." "That's how I read it," said the landlady. "All I'm saying is, be careful." Yuri thought about this for a long time, sitting in the chair, staring out the window, looking at the pages, checking and double-checking the Russian's English dictionary. What was I? 8, 9 years old. I had been playing well, and it had attracted a vulture. This put my father at crossroads. If the landlady was right, he could not sign the contract. But if he did not sign the contract, we'd be out of school and without court time or coaches, which meant I'd not stay good for long. It was a paradox. If I wanted to be good, I'd have to sell my soul. If I sold my soul, there was no point of being good. If I didn't sell my soul, I wouldn't stay good. Yuri wanted another position, another set of eyes. Yuri wanted another opinion, another set of eyes. Someone who really knew the language and the law. The landlady was not a native English speaker to look at the contract, but he did not have money for an attorney. Then he remembered the man he'd met at several tournaments, his sideline friend, Bob Kane, whose son had played at El Conquistador. Bob was an oncologist, and he must have been a good doctor because he was clearly wealthy. He lived in a house on the water in Venice, Florida, which is not cheap, and he drove a beautiful sports car. Yuri tracked down a phone number, called Bob, and explained the situation. "I'll be right there," said Bob, "and we'll get someone to look at that contract." Bob picked us up later that day and drove us to see a friend of his who handled these kinds of deals. It took this man about 2 seconds to dismiss Sekeo's agreement. As he read through the pages, he kept marking them with red pen, saying, "Nah, nah, nah. You can't sign this." He finally told us, "It's indentured servitude." This was the key moment. If we signed, at least we'd have somewhere to work and to train, somewhere to go. If we did not sign, we'd have no place to practice and eventually no place to live. I give my father tremendous credit. He never lost hope. He never gave up. Never took the easy way out. What saved us, what made my career possible, is not all those times he embraced challenges and said yes. It was not all those times he embraced challenges and said yes. Way too much credit is given to the art or act of saying yes. It was all those times he said no that made the difference. Up to this point, yes. Beyond this point, no. This was his rebellion, his revolt. He simply refused to let me be part of another person's scheme. It was me and him, and it will stay that way until he found a person he could truly trust. At the moment of temptation, by which I mean the appearance of an easier path, he always said no, and he did not despair about it, because he is determined and because he believed. He believed that his dream for me was destined to come true. Wow, parents like this, That's what he saw, and that's what Yudkin had told him. All he had to do was stay on the path and take one step at a time, and everything would work out. All he had to do was say no when it would be so much easier to say yes. He had a plan after all, and it did not include selling out to Sekeo. We went to see Sekeo in that little trailer on the edge of El Conquistador's court. He had a mocking look. He knew he was putting tremendous pressure on Yuri, who was still injured and could not walk. Sekeo was in tennis sweats and his eyes flashed and he smiled big and phony. He got right to the matter at hand. "Have you signed the contract?" he asked. "No," said Yuri. "You have to sign the contract," said Sekeo. "As soon as it's signed, we can get back to business." "I don't think so," said Yuri. He handed the pages back, signature line blank. Sekeo was irritated. Yuri ignored this and told him about the people we'd been to see and what they'd said about the contract. How Sekeo would own me if Yuri signed. Sekeo said the people you'd spoken to were misinformed, stupid, or lying. The contract was fair. Not only fair, generous. Too generous. Sekeo said he was happy to hear it, and Yuri said he was happy to hear it, and suggested we sit with the lawyer we had seen. "Me and you and this man," said Yuri, "and go over the clauses and make sure we all understood them to mean the same thing. If he's wrong, let's show him where he's wrong," said Yuri. Sekeo's eyes flashed, then went flat, blank. "Will you sign it or not?" he asked. "No," said Yuri. "I'm not going to sign anything." "All right then," said Sekeo, turning cold. "If you have the rest of the day to use our facilities. In 24 hours, you are on your own. Your daughter cannot train here unless you pay me. And from now on, you have to pay the actual rate, which is much more than you've been paying. This will be $500 a week. That's like 5,000. That's like 50,000 Kenyan shillings, or 60,000. Yuri spoke to the landlady when we got back to the apartment. He told her what had happened and what it would mean. He asked if we could have a few more weeks to pay the rent. We were already behind, just long enough for Yuri to find a job, make some money, come up with a plan. She said no. Either way, these people were between a rock and a hard place. She said no, either we could pay or we could not pay. If we could not pay, we had to leave. She did not say exactly when we had to leave, but the impression Yuri got was now. Yuri called Bob Kane in Venice. He told him everything that had happened. I'm not sure what you're going to do, said Yuri. Just pack your things and wait outside, said Bob. I'm coming to get you. Wow. He sent a car to pick us up and bring us back to his house. A beautiful house a few miles from the beach with a big lawn and a swimming pool and a tennis court. It was the first time I'd been in what you'd call a rich guy's house. It made me laugh. I couldn't understand it at all. Why would a person need their own tennis court? And what about all those extra rooms? What would you do with them? You can only be in one room at a time, right? I'd been in America for months and months, but still didn't really understand anything. We moved into a guest bedroom. Bob said we were welcome to stay as long as we needed. We could take whatever we wanted from the kitchen and join the family for meals. Then he gave Yuri some cash. For walking around, just till you're back on your feet. What can I do for you? Asked Yuri. Well, if you feel up to it and have some time, you can hit some tennis balls with my son, said Bob. But if not, don't worry about it. You don't have to do anything. Why are you doing this? Asked Yuri. Because if I was in the same situation, said Bob, I'd want someone to do the same thing for me. Wow, I aspire to be a good person. I am a good person, but it's just beautiful. That's just what life was like for us in all those years. Salt and sugar, bad luck followed by good luck. Every now and then, some bit of greed put us up against it. When that happened, more often than not, it was some person for no other reason than just because saved us with a drive or a bus ticket or a place to stay. We lived at the Kane's house for close to a year. We ate dinner with the family and I played tennis with Steven when I wasn't practicing or doing drills with my father, who would once again become my coach. This was like an oasis, a cool interlude in the middle of a long trek. It was almost like being part of a normal American family, but I never stopped working and I never stopped training. Most important, I was playing in tournaments, as many as I could qualify for and travel to. I was growing and getting stronger, and my game was improving in ways that had little to do with the drills. I was coming to feel the sport, see the angles, get the game. I began to understand how each shot sets up the next shot, how you have to anticipate and plan for the kill. It's a lot like chess. Every shot should set up something else. You have to be in the moment and concentrate on this shot if you don't want to lose, but you also have to live in the 20 seconds from now if you want to win. Let's read one more page and then we'll be over. We'll be done. We'll wait for tomorrow because the time is up and I feel like reading one more page. Time is up. Let's read one more page and then we can call it a read till tomorrow. So, my mature game had begun to emerge, not completely, but on the best days you could see it. I was playing mostly from the baseline, meeting the ball on the rise, driving it back with a scream. I could hit just about as well with my backhand as my forehand. Although my forehand was my weakness, I could turn every movement of my body into kinetic force. Even when I was too small to ride the roller coaster, my game was about power and depth. My serve was a work in progress, but it was progressing. When I could get to the net, I finished the point off with a swinging volley. I was not fast, but anticipated the ball well, which made me look faster than I actually was. In other words, I was deceptive. But the best parts of the game, those things that made me hard to beat, were mental. They were my intensity, my focus. I could stay after my opponent shot after shot, game after game, never fading, never losing hope, even when I was behind. If there was still a point to play, even if I was down 2 breaks and facing someone twice my size, I went after it as if I was serving the match. I'm not sure where this quality came from. My mother, my father, my crazy childhood. Maybe I wasn't that smart. Maybe in sports, you have to be dumb enough to believe you always have a chance. And a bad memory, you need that too. You must be able to forget. You made an unforced error. You blew an easy win. Don't dwell. Don't replay. Just forget as if it never happened. If you tried something and it did not work, you have to be dumb enough when the same chance comes around to try it again. And this time, it will work. You have to be dumb enough to have no fear. Every time I step on a court, I believe that I'm going to win, no matter who I'm playing or what the odds say. That's what makes me so hard to beat. And that's the mentality we have to have in life, yeah? This book makes me view life like that. And life is actually like that, the bittersweets, yeah? And you need to have a resilient mentality, called testicular fortitude. You have to have testicular fortitude. Mental fortitude, yeah? So that's about it. So tomorrow we are going to resume here. Yeah, page 73. This is a very beautiful read and I love it. If you like it, if you love listening to this book, please give this video a thumbs up, comment the Egypt flag and tell me that you're enjoying the narration, because I really am enjoying. So yeah, all that is left is me having my supper, my dinner, and then we can call it a day. Allow me to love you and leave you until day 59, which is tomorrow. Tomorrow is my father's birthday. My father was born on the 28th of February, and so I take this opportunity to wish him a very, very happy birthday. And may God continue blessing him, and may God bless him with good health and everything good and upright that he desires. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for sticking through till now. If you stuck through now, you'll definitely enjoy whatever I'm doing. Yeah. and I'm also actually enjoying whatever I'm doing. So yeah, I love you and leave you till day 59, and may you all have a beautiful evening, night ahead, or day ahead, or period or moment. Yeah, and I'll see you back here as I'm clocking in tomorrow. Till then, may God bless you and may you find favor in the eyes of the Lord.